Developed by Moon Studios, a collective of developers and artists from around the globe with no set location, Ori and the Blind Forest is meant to serve as a love letter to adventure games both new and old, taking inspiration from franchises such as Rayman and Metroid. It makes use of a 2D art style reminiscent of hand-drawn animation, with heavy design influence from the many works of Studio Ghibli, while also incorporating Metroidvania gameplay as you gain new skills and abilities across a large, expansive world to platform through. It was originally released for Xbox One and PC on the 11th of March 2015, and received a Definitive Edition exactly 1 year later. The Definitive Edition would later be released on Nintendo Switch. The game has received widespread acclaim for its story, design, gameplay, and music, which gives me, as a new player, a lot to look forward to. Ori and the Blind Forest is a game I have been somewhat interested in playing for a while now, but I was never able to play it due to not having an Xbox One nor having a decent gaming PC. There is a demo available on the Switch's eShop when it released last year, but it only allows you to play the beginning hour of the game, and I haven't touched it since I originally played it. But luckily, I was finally able to get an Xbox One X last Christmas, but beyond me playing that Switch demo, I didn't know much about the game, so my experience is for the most part blind, and I have no idea what to expect after the demo's ending. I've heard many good things about the game and really hope this ends up being a great experience overall. So, with the intro out of the way, let's sit back, grab our controllers, and play Ori and the Blind Forest. From the moment you start a new game, you are immediately thrown into the story as you are introduced to the Forest of the Bell and witness a guardian spirit named Ori fall from the spirit tree during a storm. A creature named Nehru sees him fall nearby and decides to adopt Ori as her own, and they spend their time harvesting fruit from the trees surrounding the cave they live in. One day, as Ori is bringing some fruit back, he witnesses a bright light emanating from the spirit tree, but is taken back inside by Nehru as the light becomes a cataclysmic wave that washes over the whole forest. The wave causes life in the bell to wither away, and Nehru, after failing to gather food and despite Ori's more successful attempt, unfortunately dies of starvation, leaving Ori orphaned and left to explore the now decrepit forest. He eventually collapses near the spirit tree and is revived by its energy, at which point the prologue ends and the main game begins, as full control is given to the player to explore the world in the bell. While exploring around the nearby area, Ori comes across an orb of light named Sign, who tells him to head towards the spirit tree, becoming Ori's guide and ally on his adventure. Upon opening some gates along the path and climbing their way through the spirit caverns, they eventually make their way to the spirit tree, where we are informed of our overall goal for the adventure. After the light washed over Nibel, a giant owl of shadows known as Kuro Sign and dropped it far away from the tree. Without its core, Nibel's elements of light could not be sustained and the forest fell out of balance. Now it is up to Ori to travel across Nibel and restore lights to the elements of water, winds, and warmth to bring balance back to the forest. From there, you are free to explore the forest and the bell, which is filled with many areas and secrets to discover as you work to restore the elements. At the start, Ori is only able to do simple running and jumping to explore the bell, while also being able to grab objects in the environment to solve puzzles in the world. When Ori finds Sign early on, he is granted the ability to use Sign's spirit flame to combat the many enemies and obstacles in his path. Eventually, as you explore more of the bell, you'll be able to find and collect new skills and abilities to expand on what Ori is capable of and allow access to areas that were previously inaccessible. Skills are learned by absorbing the light of ancestral trees found across Nibel, and can range from simple mechanics like wall jumping, climbing, and stomping, to more advanced techniques like the bash or the charge jump. Additionally, you can collect health cells and energy cells that increase the amount of health Ori has, as well as how much energy he has at his disposal. Energy cells work like an MP meter from an RPG, allowing use of some abilities in exchange for energy. One of the most common uses of energy is the creation of soul links, which are checkpoints Ori can respawn at whenever he dies. However, you need to have energy to make them, meaning early on you will need to be more sparing when you make one. Otherwise, you might not have any energy for your abilities. Luckily, in addition to soul links, there are spirit wells that can be found in every major area of the map, which function as save and warp points between all areas of the map, allowing fast travel back to areas and a reduction in backtracking time. Trust me, there are many times throughout my playthrough where I would forget to make a soul link, causing me to lose quite a bit of progress, and repeating sections multiple times, so I would personally recommend making soul links for and after difficult areas to keep potential progress loss to a minimum. You can also collect ability cells and spirit containers to gain experience to earn ability points, which can be used at soul links and spirit wells to upgrade and improve your abilities using the ability tree. The ability tree is split into 3 areas: utility, efficiency, and combat. All the skills and abilities you earn help improve your combat and platforming, while also allowing for more interesting utilization in puzzles. One of my personal favourite sequences in the game happens to be at the end of the Ginzo tree, where the element of waters is found. To unlock the ability to restore the element, you need to use bash or projectiles to break some walls at the top of the area and get through some corruption to destroy it. When Bash is using projectiles, it launches them in the opposite direction, meaning you must carefully aim your Bash towards the walls to destroy them, which is made more complicated by the use of portals that were introduced earlier to steer the projectiles to the wall, as well as other enemies being in the way. But it's made all the more worth it when the element is stored and water starts to flood the tree's interior, thus forcing you to climb up the tree to escape the rising tide while testing the skills you've earned up to that point, in quick succession in order to avoid your watery grave. It took me multiple attempts to do, starting from the beginning every time, because you can't save as you climb up, but it was worth it when after many tries I finally got to the top. So many deaths. That sequence will now be something I will always remember in the years to come. I can, without a doubt, say that Ori and the Blind Forest has very easily become one of my favorite games of all time. The beautifully blended mix of gameplay, story, art style, and music made my journey through the world of the battle truly unforgettable, and I cannot recommend it enough. If you have an Xbox One, a PC, or a Nintendo Switch, do yourself a favor and play Ori and the Blind Forest. If I still haven't convinced you, this is also available on Xbox Game Pass for console and PC, and there's a demo available for the Switch version. I give Ori and the Blind Forest a rating of 5 stars.